Hello there, Ray here. We are back here on the ProtoTech server because we're going to continue our epic quest to go for the ultimate farm, which is our lightning farm. And last time we went ahead and built up that huge lava curtain, which is in the distance that's not rendering. And we also built up these 80 long chunk loading grids. And essentially the way that it works is that every time a new chunk is loaded, the game is going to choose one spot to place in a lightning strike. And by advancing the RNG over behind us with the lava, we're allowing it to go to a very specific chunk. Now today we're going to build up the actual farm that's going to allow us to collect all these trap horses and sort them so we can get the epic helmets that we needed. Now if you guys haven't already, be sure to check out the previous 2 episodes, and by the end of the episode we should go ahead and be able to run this farm and see all this epic lightning striking down upon it and creating tons and tons of trap horses. I will go ahead and roll the footage of us building up this farm. So behind me is the farm that will be used to collect the trap horses and process them. We call this the Funnel Doom, and this was designed up by Zurex, and then Smokey and I compacted it and kind of made some tweaks to it. Essentially what this is a whole bunch of pistons which are all pointing towards the center, and we got some wiring which will power them kind of in a wave-like motion. So top pistons will power, then they'll power all the way down to the bottom, and then they'll start back at the top and continue this. And I can go ahead and turn this on. Creates a little bit of noise with all the pistons going off. You can see how they're going from the top and pushing towards the center. And what we got going on is that this is all within one chunk. So if I hop in there again, let me turn that off. So you can see the chunk borders around the edge here. And this is a chunk which we have manipulated RNG to make the lightning occur. So every time we load one more chunk out there, the game's going to try to attempt to summon in one lightning in a chunk, and by advancing the world seed, the chunk which it chooses will be this one. And we made this also be the chunk where the player is AFKing. So the player will be AFKing down there. Now the lightning will strike at the top of these cobble walls, and then the trap horses will be summoned inside and fall downwards, and then they will get pushed inwards as you see with these pistons. And then they'll get all the way up, get pretty close, and about around here, they'll be within 10 meters of the player who will be AFKing down there, kind of by those redstone blocks. And then the trap horse will open up, and you know when the trap horses open up, they will turn into horsemen. So 4 horsemen come out 1 trap horse, and then eventually they get pushed down there, and they will stand on top of these gates. And then they'll move in front of the player where the player can swing at them. And once the player does a swing attack at them, then they will be able to be considered a player kill. And then we'll drop them the rest of the way, which is way down there. And the Funnel Doom was built up by myself, Smokey, as well as Zachary. From here you can see how far we are dropping the skeleton horses. So they're going to start there and they're going to fall all the way down. And this is because the skeletons are riding the horse, and then as they are a partner, they hit the ground. their damage, which comes from them falling that far, will be split between them. And this is why we have to make them drop pretty much twice as far as you normally would drop them. So like a skeleton, you only drop like 23 meters normally to kill it. And a horse, you would have to even drop less to kill it, but we have to drop them really far because of this. Also, we want the majority of them to die as soon as they hit the ground. If they don't die, then the problem is that they will that the horse will hit the ground and the horse will die, but the skeleton will dismount and the skeleton will be staying on the side. And then what we have later on is lava coming in here and killing off all the mobs that will be standing there. And if the skeleton dies from the lava, then he will most likely drop his items in the lava, which they will be destroyed. And the whole objective of this farm is to collect rare types of helmets that come from the skeleton horses. So we can get Protection 8 helmets that can be on gold helmets. We can get like 2 Protection 4s on a gold helmet. Or we can get like a diamond helmet that has projectile protection 4 as well as blast protection 4. This would be like a type of Protection 8 armor as well. If you want to learn more about how you can get these rare type of items in the game, which are like bows that have double power enchantments on them, or like these helmets that we're going to try to acquire, which can go up to Protection 8. I did a video with Narcoleptic Frog where we talked about how you can get these type of helmets in survival. And I'll put that link down in the description. I highly recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it already. Because getting a Protection 8 helmet is extremely hard to get in normal survival, it would take you around 200 in real life years to use a normal lightning farm to possibly get one. And with this one, we could increase it quite a bit. We'll get about 1 diamond helmet a day over 24 hours, but that helmet doesn't have to have any type of really awesome enchantments on it, so it's going to take quite a while still to get this really nice helmet that we're trying to go for, but this farm will make it considerably better. So what we got going on is the players hitting those skeletons, and the skeletons are considered the player kill. And once they hit the ground, they'll have that chance of dropping their armor as well as like their bow, and will be looting, so increase the chance of being able to drop those items. So then they will fall down, hit that glass, and drop their items. Then we give about 10 game ticks for these zombies to look at those items and search through them, and then they'll pick up any items that they think is better than what they're wearing. Then after that time, we're going to go ahead and dispense some lava from these dispensers and remove the items as well as the experience points. Now the XPs are extremely laggy, especially in large quantities like this farm, since this farm will producing about 1 lightning every other game tick, which means we get a ton of trapped horses coming through here. That's essentially why you see the system being extremely streamlined, where we have the mobs essentially falling straight down the entire time. So all this redstone you see down here is 4 different helmet sorters, and this design was built up by Xerox, and then I came in here and redesigned it to make it work for this area. Much smaller design, also compacted it, changed it a little bit. And what we got is we got 4 zombies that we had to have inside here to be able to pick the items. And we got those 4 zombies actually was from a zombie spawner that was just underneath of here. And Rubix and I went ahead and Rubix was sorting out the zombies as I was building this up. And then we had to go and pick up some of the armor that we needed for these guys. So for the zombies that we put into the trap horse farm, we need to have all their gear to the lowest durability, which is durability 0. And we got a whole bunch of diamond gear here from our 1.7 villager who sells all this diamond gear. So it's pretty cheap for us to get more diamond gear. We don't have to waste any diamonds. And we got a bunch of sets in here, and we're essentially just going to stand on a cactus. I think I can press up against it like this, and it will slowly start taking down the durability of our armor. So we want all the pieces to be down to 0 durability, which is lowest durability possible for armor before it will break. This way the zombie won't try to swap it for any other type of armor with higher durability or even equal durability.
I'll have to make a statistic increasing machine for that.
So we can actually see how we compare where other players have to have damage taken because we're taking damage from the cactus. Over on the scoreboard we have damage taken showing, and currently Rusty Nuts is at the highest at 1,000,000 something. I'm only at 700, but you can see it is going up. So we went ahead and we enchanted all the chest plates, leggings, as well as boots. And we're going to leave the helmets unenchanted, that way we can keep them, the zombies so that they can swap between the enchanted ones that they will get from the farm. We're back here at the lightning farm, and we're going to give each of these zombies their set of armor. So and there's this helmet. Nice. So all of them got their armor that they need. Now we need to make sure that they don't get exposed to light, otherwise their helmets will break off. The way that the system works here is that they start out with this normal helmet, and then when an enchanted helmet falls in over here, they'll have time to pick it up. They'll be holding the enchanted one, and then they'll drop the normal one, which gets picked up by Hopper, and cycle back into the stroppers. Then what we'll do is we'll drop a normal helmet right beside them, which is over here. You have a little system to drop a normal helmet, and essentially it'll fall downwards, but they'll be able to pick it up. And then they'll drop the enchanted ones, which is just picked up, and the enchanted one will go down there. Essentially, we just use this as a way to sort out enchanted armor. Now, if there's a rare case where the helmet that the guy picked up is low durability and is also enchanted, he won't switch to this normal helmet once we give it to him. And then we have a second system which will take care of this. So what it does is the helmet falls past him and he can't pick it up, so it falls to the bottom. We can detect it, and then we kind of do like a warning signal over here. This piston gets activated and the power goes over here, and then as soon as it's daytime, then the system will know to open up this pull this block back here for a certain amount of time. This will give enough time for the sun to come down and burn the helmet off of him. That's the only way we can get rid of the helmet so it doesn't break the system. And then right after the sun does that, we'll close it up again and we'll give him a new normal helmet. And that's why we have to put new normal helmets that are with low durability inside of each of these droppers. And also the zombies are sitting in water so they don't take damage from the sun if they are exposed to it. We just had a thunderstorm while working on this, and there's a bunch of trap horses down there. Seems that the thunderstorm's over, but it sure left a lot of trap horses around the outside.
Oh boy.
Rubik's is opening them all up. Oh, that's awesome.
This is how you play Minecraft. Jeez.
Look at all the arrows they're shooting.
Hurrah.
There's a bunch over here too.
Oh, that's satisfying.
That's really awesome.
Let's find ones with funky helmets and...
Ow, one hit me. We also had to remove some lava underneath of the bedrock, so you can see here Smokey is removing a bunch of lava. He also had help by Akron, 0x, as well as Kika. The reason that the lava had to be removed underneath of these specific chunks is because when the lava would attempt to look for places to place fire, it would create updates, and these updates would mess up with the RNG. So you can even see that Smokey had to use some bedrock breaking to break lava that was completely encased in bedrock. That way we would completely remove all the RNG that would occur from the lava. So the on switch for the Funnel Doom is right down here. This just turns on a clock, and there's actually 3 different clocks in the system. So this clock here operates the opening and closing of some trapdoors. This will allow the trap horses to sit on top of this and then be sent down one more level where the player can whack at them. Then the redstone signal goes this way, goes up that way, and there is another clock up there that operates all the pistons, which are used for the Funnel of Doom. And yeah, this little clock here, it just sends out a pulse, and pretty much just to synchronize with the other clocks. They're the same delay. That way, after this whole clock pushes mobs towards the center, then the other one will release the mob. So yeah, they work in sync. And then the rest of the signal goes down, and it goes to this piston here, and this one goes all the way down to the lava, which is used to kill them. So there's one little clock underneath this redstone stuff down here. And this clock is synced up as well. What this does is it will remove the lava for a very short period of time, so the mobs will hit and splat, and then it gets the time for the zombies to pick up the items, and then it will destroy all the rest of the stuff. So having the Funnel Doom, as well as advancing the lightning with our lava, and having those chunks being loaded is enough to give us some trap horses to spawn in whenever there is a lightning storm. But you guys know us. On ProtoTech, we try to push the limits, and we did something that has never been done before. We figured out a way to also manipulate the weather. So it was a lot of work from Earth Computer as well as 0x and myself to test out a system that will allow us to manipulate the weather so that we can get thunderstorms over about 50% of the time in our world. And that's what this whole system here is. It took a lot of testing and trial and error. If you guys have been following us on our Twitch stream over the last couple of months, we've been working on this quite often. It is a pretty awesome feat. So what we got here is a bunch of timings, and what we figured out is that we can actually manipulate the RNG of the weather because we know what the weather seed is during a very specific time of the day, and that is when it is just resetted. So we figured out that if we would use a bed to reset the time by sleeping in the bed, it will reset it to 0. And when it hits 0, we can go and load very specific chunks that are very far away from this location, and that will manipulate the RNG so that it will create a thunderstorm later on during that day. That's what all this does here. So the first thing what happens is the player will sleep in this bed, and we have an observer. So as soon as he enters the bed, the observer can notice that the player is inside, and it'll send a signal to this redstone line here, which will push this piston out, and it will send a signal up here. And what this signal does is it just goes over to a minecart, and we use this minecart, which is underneath here, and it's going to power it and send it into the nether dimension. And this is what we're going to use to make it so that it will turn to thunder as well as rain in a certain amount of time during this day. So about 10 minutes after we sleep in bed, then it will become thunder and rain. And what the minecart does is it goes through the nether dimension, and from here we are able to go out to a very specific chunk where we can manipulate when we want it to turn rain as well as weather. So we had to use Earth Computer's program that he made. If you want to learn more about it, I'll put links down in the description. And this program allows us to search for a location where we can change it so that it will thunder and rain during a certain time of the day. So what we have is the minecart coming over onto these tracks, and it will go over top of this detector rail, which will go out and go through here, and it will go through a whole bunch of instant wire that we put up. This is 7,000 meters worth of instant wire goes off in that direction, and that will go to a portal, which will drop an item through the portal. When that item goes through a portal, it will manipulate the RNG until it will allow it to thunder as well as rain later in that same day. So you might have noticed that there is actually 3 different minecarts here, and they all do different things. So the first one will make it turn rain as well as thunder during this day, and the other 2 will allow us to make it so that the rain and thunder will last as long as possible. So after we send that minecart in, the signal goes into this minecart here, and there's a trapdoor underneath of it. What that does is just drop the minecart down here, and I can hop down there and show you guys. So the minecart will drop and fall through all these webs, and what it does is just create a really long clock. And then once the minecart reaches the bottom, it'll be set back up to the top. So once that minecart comes past this detector rail here, it'll send a signal down to the repeater line. And essentially what we're doing is we're waiting that period between when we sleep and it's set to 0 and the time when the actual rain occurs, as well as the thunder. So the first thing that's going to occur is the rain. So we have that long 10-minute delay, and then we have some more repeaters to get a very precise timing. And then we send that signal over here into this minecart. This minecart will go in and it will set the rain so that it will rain as long as possible. We try to get a value that is close as possible to the maximum rain length as possible in Minecraft. But if you want to get like a really precise timing where you get the exact maximum, you have to go out really far. But we just went with one that was somewhat close as well as really high value. And then after the rain is set so that it will last a long period of time, and this is also exact same time that the rain starts pouring down, then we have the signal come through and go through a very tick perfect delays as well over this line, and it will go into this minecart, which will also be sent over into the nether dimension. And this one will set it so that the thunder will last the longest as possible too. I can show you exactly where these go and how they work. It's just like the previous line where they go out in different directions with a bunch of instant wire, and we timed this, had to be tick perfect so that the item goes to the portal the exact same time that the weather changes. That way we can make the weather last as long as possible. So when it comes here, the signal goes into this dropper. This will just drop some item into this nether portal, and once it reaches the chunks on the overworld, then that's when it will manipulate the RNG of the weather. This one here will manipulate, I believe it's the rain, make the rain last as long as possible in Minecraft, and that way we can have it so that we have as much time as possible to be able to get trap horses. Also notice that when the signal comes out here, we also load a 5x5 grid, that way the entity is in entity processing chunks. And there's also 2 more of these, but they're really far out, which I probably don't want to go out there and show you guys. And also the minecart here is in an entity processing chunk by loading a 5x5 grid as well. Also, after that minecart goes after this detector rail, it will also send a signal to this minecart, which will go back over through the portal and into the overworld and replace the one that left. And then this minecart will come over here and replace this minecart. And we do this because minecarts, as well as other entities, have a 15-second cooldown period in which they cannot go back through nether portals. And because of that, the minecart, if it went through here and then went back up and over there again, it wouldn't be enough time for it to be able to go through the portal. Instead, it would shoot right through it and end up on the other side of the portal. So that's why we have to use 2 minecarts. This instant wire goes out to 64,000 in the overworld. We use another, so you'll have to go out about 7,000 meters with the instant wire. This one goes out a couple thousand meters. That one just goes out to that portal over there. It was a lot of fun. We came on and we built this all up on stream. Had help from a lot of different guys on the ProtoTech server, including myself, Smokey, ZeroX, Earth Computer, Creeper, Craft, Respawn, Newt, Rubix, Lynn, and Command Guy, Kika, and Bobby, I believe, also helped out. It didn't take us very long with that many people to build up all the different parts as well as the chunk loading. Over here is some more circuitry which I built up and designed so that the player can AFK, and then it will move the player in range of the bed so he can sleep when needed. And there's some logic to just allow him to do this pretty much every other day, which is what we need for the system. Now, as soon as it turns night, we can go ahead and sleep in this. What we'll have to do is we'll have to be able to sleep without being interrupted. So we gotta make sure that other people are either in the nether or end dimension or relogged or also in the bed prior to me being in the bed. That way I successfully be able to sleep through the bed because it uses the time from when the player goes into the bed to when he gets kicked out of bed to perfectly time the system. So let me make sure everybody is in the nether or has relogged. Okay, everyone is in the nether, and that way I can go ahead and sleep in the bed. So I'll sleep in this bed and it will activate the piston, and that will do some logic as well as send some of the minecarts over into the nether, come out of the bed, and there's some logic here that also resets the player into this location so he can swing at the trap horses once it goes on. So at this moment, all we have to do is wait for the sun to creep across the sky, and towards the end of the day, it'll start raining as well as thundering. So while we wait for that, there's some more logic here. We have a button that is near the player, which you can click on, which will reset the autosave detector. So there's a button here, it goes over here to some redstone, and then it goes, get through here, redstone, going all over the place. Button goes down to some slimestone down here, and got in the cobwebs. You can see the current is falling through the web, which is exactly what we want. So that fire limestone piece there will go downwards, and it will activate this redstone wire here, which goes all the way back to our autosave detector and allows us to reset it. And I think currently it turned off. Yes, it is. This is turned off, and then when we press the button way over there, it'll do the same thing as pressing this button. It'll pull up this piston and reset the system, so I can push it. You guys can watch. To pull this piston up with this block as well as this redstone block. Now, if I fly back over there, the first autosave will not go through, and then the second autosave will go through, and then we'll capture it in this clock here. Let me head back over here, and we see that there is some more redstone that goes the other way. So this redstone here takes a signal from this clock and takes it all the way over to the contraption. This is a safety device which allows us to make sure we're not accidentally activating the system which goes into the nether during an autosave. So over there was that clock, and then the redstone just comes back over here and goes through here, and it will push a piston in front of the bed. This piston will extend in front of the bed so that you're not able to click on it during an autosave. That way you don't accidentally send minecarts over to another dimension. The autosave occurred, then they get stuck over there. So that's pretty good. It looks like night is occurring. So pretty soon, once it turns dark, we should be able to see it start to rain first, and then after it rains, it's going to start to thunder. It just started to rain, and now it started to thunder, as you can see, and this is later in that day. We just sat around wait. Now I can go ahead and turn on the farm, and should be able to get some trap horses. Look at all these guys. The Funnel of Doom is working fine. It's pulling them all towards the center, dropping them all in front of the player. I can swing through this little crack here, but that is just insane. Look at these guys. I even put up the scoreboard so you can see how many skeleton horses I've killed. I was testing this out earlier on stream, and that is just, look at that. It's almost so laggy, the server can't keep up with all the different skeleton horses coming through the system. You can see they're dropping down in front of the player. The player is able to swing at them through this little crack here. And I got my nice sword, which has Unbreaking 3, Looting 3, Sweeping 3, as well as Mending. I also have Smite 1 just to do a little more damage to them. You don't want to kill them, because if you kill them and then they drop downwards, pretty much once they get killed, then they can drop entities as well as XP, which creates more lag. And then this will also separate the skeleton from the skeleton horse, which when they're separated, they're two different entities, and it creates a lot more lag as well. When they're a jockey, they don't push each other around, they don't collide with each other, so it makes it a lot better. And they also don't get max cramming, which is great as well. But wow, just look at all these guys. I can sit here and just swing at them, increase my score. Now you notice that the score on the side is only going up by like 1 or so every time I swing at them. Even though I'm swinging at like a bunch of 10 or 20 at a time, and they're falling down, and when they hit the ground, it's considered a player kill, and I am getting the loot from that. The game itself, when it keeps track of scoreboard, is only counting the skeleton horses that the player actually does the final hit to. So for you to actually get it on the scoreboard, you have to do the complete kill. You can't partially hurt it and then send it onward to get killed by something else. I gotta say, this is probably by far the most craziest thing that ever been done in vanilla survival Minecraft. This is just outrageous, using RNG to manipulate the lightning to make it so that we can get lightning right here in this one little chunk, and then make it to do that every single game tick is just insane. It's some time later, and the thunderstorm has finished, as well as the rain, but that is just insane. I just love this farm. This is, I gotta say, yeah, by far, probably the most epic thing that has ever been done in vanilla survival. The amount of work that we put into this, to design it, to test it, it's just insane. I gotta thank everyone from the ProtoTech server that helped design all the individual components, get them working, and put this all together and help build this up. All the lava, all the chunk loading out there with all these huge chunk grids that go 80 chunks long, as well as this huge contraption and those 7,000-meter long instant wires in the nether. It's just so epic and insane. I just gotta say, thank you everyone who helped me. This is one of the most epic projects I've ever done in survival, and this is why I enjoy playing vanilla survival Minecraft on 100% vanilla survival server, so you can push the limits of the game and you don't say, hey, that's not allowed, because we are literally playing within the limits of the game. We're just pushing it to the limits. If you too want to make a RNG lightning farm and use this to collect trap horses, Earth Computer, one of the ProtoTech members, has made a tutorial video which I will link down in the description, which goes over the different parts and what is necessary and what is just needed to make it a little bit better. As you guys probably seen on our streams, we are constantly tweaking this design to make it better, and we're even having plans to build in a mob head farm. Essentially, we would allow the lightning to come down and strike some mobs in a mob farm, and then we would get them so that we get some charged creepers and then blow them up, and we can get some mob heads out of this as well. So stay tuned for that project, because that's going to be another epic project to take on. But I think that's going to be it for today, so thank you guys for watching as I have fun in survival. Bye-bye!